Greetings, Exile. Are you like me? Are you bad at memorizing Maven memory games? Do you lack godlike instincts to dodge Exarch rolling meteors unlike Ben? Or do you keep walking on Cyrus's death ground, leading to your demise? Well then meet Sir Bonksalot II, successor to Sir Bonksalot, who has surpassed his predecessor by accomplishing feats even he could not achieve. He will ensure that you don't have to deal with these pesky chores again. Don't believe me? Well, take a look for yourself. You might be wondering how I managed to stun every content in the game. Well, to understand that, we need to learn a little bit about how stun works in POE. In POE, stun is a mechanic which has a chance to occur when you deal more than 10% of your target's effective maximum life. To calculate the chance to stun, this formula is used. Any hit which deals more than 50% of your target's maximum life will always stun. So any sources which boost your hit damage like ruthless blows, double damage, triple damage, or critical strikes increase your chance to land stun by a lot. Hits which deal pure physical damage get a plus 25% chance to stun, and hits which deal elemental damage get a minus 25% chance to stun. However, this mechanic can be influenced with something called reduced enemy stun threshold, which reduces your target's effective maximum life just for calculating the chance for your target to get stunned. So if you have like 75% reduced enemy stun threshold, your target's effective maximum life will count as being at 25% instead of 100%, requiring you to deal much less damage to stun your target. Any sort of damage over time or self-reflected damage, like from impale, cannot inflict a stun. You might be thinking that if you have 100% reduced enemy stun threshold, then any target should get stunned just by touching it. Well, that's not the case. Once you cross 75% reduced enemy stun threshold, any reduction further is calculated by this formula and will provide diminishing returns. So I would recommend that you aim to attain at least 75% reduced enemy stun threshold. As maces have the most reduced stun threshold passives, they are perfect for any stun-oriented build. For this build, we are using Bone Shatter of Carnage, which is a transfigured version of Bone Shatter. Unlike Bone Shatter, this version provides us with reduced enemy stun threshold and does not grant any inherent trauma stacks, making it a perfect candidate for trauma support, which not only grants us flat physical damage, but also grants us with increased stun duration per trauma stack, which comes in very handy for our build. But in PoE, many unique monsters have modifiers which grant them immunity to stun while stunned, and they cannot be stunned for at least 4 seconds after coming out of a stun. So, for a proper stun build, our aim should not be to stun very often, rather to make our stun count once it occurs. With this build, I'm able to stun Uber bosses for almost 7 seconds. For calculating stun duration, this formula is used. Before we proceed any further, I'd like to inform you that this is a 4-part series. If you're seeking a cheaper or budget version, you can refer to any of the previous 3 parts, each with a separate POB available in their description. I will leave links to them in the description. Let's take a look at our equipment, starting with our weapon. Our weapon of choice is a 2-handed Shaper and Elder-influenced pile driver, boasting the highest base attack speed among maces. Its implicit provides us with reduced enemy stun threshold and is harvest enchanted for additional attack speed per quality. Its explicits provide our melee gems socketed in the weapon with +2 levels, 20% more damage to socketed skills, and an inbuilt endurance charge on melee stun support in prefixes. As for suffixes, it provides us with Tier 1 increased attack speed, an unveiled modifier which provides a nice crit multi when near a unique or rare enemy, and lastly, crafted increased attack speed when near a rare or unique enemy. For gloves, we're using Slink gloves, boasting the highest base evasion rating. Alternatively, you can use Dragon Scale gauntlets. Its implicits consist of perfect tier, gain rage on hit when in presence of unique enemy Exarch modifier, and grand tier, gain accuracy per frenzy charge eater modifier. Its explicit provide us with maximum life, increase our maximum frenzy charges by 1, have unveiled dex and int, spell suppression, and contain essence slammed attack speed. Lastly, it has crafted increased damage while leeching. In our boot slot, we have equipped Ralakesh's Impatience, which has a corrupted implicit of spell suppression. Its explicits provide us with a bunch of resistance and ensure that we always get the benefit of having maximum charges without needing to generate them. Our helmet is a Nightmare Bassinet, chosen for its optimal base among evasion and armor bases. Its implicits contain perfect tier, increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, Eater modifier, and grand tier, reduced mana cost of attacks Exarch modifier. Its explicits provide us with maximum life, spell suppression, unveiled lightning and chaos resistance, essence slammed chaos resistance, and crafted physical damage taken as fire modifier. Our body armor is a triumphant lamellar, selected for being one of the best bases among evasion and armor bases. Its implicits consist of perfect tier, increased effect of Pride aura, while in presence of a unique enemy, Eater modifier, and grand tier, increased critical strike multiplier for attacks when in presence of a unique enemy, Exarch modifier. It's also enchanted with increased effect of explicit defense modifiers using a tailoring orb. As for its explicits, they provide us with a lot of armor and evasion rating, spell suppression, additional physical damage reduction, and an essence slammed modifier, which grants us onslaught when we get hit. Lastly, it has a crafted physical damage taken as fire and lightning modifier. For the belt, we're using An's Anguish, which has a corrupted implicit of all resistance. Its explicits provide us with armor, increased maximum life, fire resistance, and convert our endurance charges to brutal charges, which provide us with a 3% chance to deal triple damage per endurance charge. For rings, we're using a synthesized ring with an implicit that grants us +1 to maximum frenzy charges. Its explicits consist of maximum life, unveiled mana modifier, which grants us % of damage taken recouped as mana, essence slammed crit multi, and is multi-crafted for lightning resistance and minus total mana cost of non-channeling skills. We replicate all of these benefits using a Calandra's touch. For the amulet, I chose a Strangle Gasp. I anointed it with fervor, frenetic, sovereignty, and inveterate. Then I corrupted it using a Val Orb, turning it into a rare. Luckily, it rolled some attributes, resistance, and most importantly, a modifier which grants +1 to level of all physical skill gems. But this was a very lucky corrupt, so my recommendation to you guys is that you anoint your amulet, then corrupt it and turn it into rare, and then use a mythic orb and try turning it into a Carnage Heart. This will provide you with a bunch of attributes, some resistance, and increased damage while leeching, making it much easier to manage stuff elsewhere. Moving on to our gems. In our weapon, we have our main skill Bone Shatter of Carnage linked to the following supports: increased critical strike, increased critical damage, awakened brutality, ruthless, and trauma support. In our body armor, we have our main aura setup, which consists of Precision, Pride, Grace, Arctic Armor, and Herald of Purity. All of these are linked to a level 4 Enlightened support. Our helmet houses our cast when damage taken setup. It includes Warlord's Mark and Val Molten Shell linked to Life Tap and Cast when damage taken support. Ensure that the level of cast when damage taken support is 1, Warlord's Mark is 7, and Molten Shell is 10. We have our utility set up in our gloves. It consists of Berserk, Blood Rage, and Vengeance linked to Rage support. While mapping, I swap out Vengeance and Rage support for Ancestral Cry and Call to Arms for better clear. Our boots contain our movement speed setup. It has Leap Slam and Ancestral Protector linked to faster attacks, alongside War Banner. For this build, we are using 2 8-passive large cluster jewels, one of which grants us Feed the Fury, Overlord, and Heavy Hitter, and the other one grants us Feed the Fury, Graceful Execution, and Heavy Hitter. We're utilizing a combination of Forbidden Flesh and Flame jewels, granting us First to Strike, Last to Fall from the champion, providing adrenaline and the ability to intimidate our enemies. We're also utilizing a Megalomaniac jewel, granting Enduring Composure and Graceful Execution. Additionally, we've socketed a Watcher's Eye, providing increased crit multi while affected by precision and giving us spell suppression while using Grace. We've socketed a very large Thread of Hope near Savagery, allowing us to grab Disciple of Unyielding, Disciple of Slaughter, and Vitality Void. Additionally, we've slammed 10 tattoos of Tassalio Tideshifter to attain 100% stun avoidance. We've also socketed a brutal restraint jewel of Nasima near Elemental Equilibrium, converting Elemental Equilibrium to Second Sight, which grants us 25% more critical strike chance but makes us blind. Furthermore, we're using an impossible escape for Supreme Ego, allowing us to allocate Charisma, Taste for Blood, Replenishing Remedies, and a small reservation efficiency node. For keystones, we take Mage Bane for spell suppression, Second Sight for more critical strike chance, Val Pact for double life leech, and Iron Reflexes to convert all of our evasion rating to armor. For masteries, we take Increased Armor while stationary for Armor Mastery, Increased Maximum Life while having no life modifiers on our Armor for Life Mastery, Increased Critical Strike Multiplier against Unique Enemy for Critical Mastery, Chance to deal triple damage as Two-Handed Mastery, Instant Leech as Leech Mastery, Increased Armor and Evasion per Endurance and Frenzy Charge as Armor and Evasion Mastery, Cannot be chilled at maximum Frenzy Charges as Charge Mastery, Strike Skills target 1 additional nearby enemy as Attack Mastery. We take Impact upon completing the normal Labyrinth, which provides much-needed strike range and accuracy. After completing the Cruel Labyrinth, we opt for Brutal Fervor, offering Overleech and reduced incoming damage while leeching. Upon conquering the Merciless Labyrinth, we choose Overwhelm, aiding in easily capping our critical chance. Finally, after completing the Uber Labyrinth, we select Masterful Form, making our maximum endurance charges equal to maximum frenzy charges. For the Major God, we choose Soul of Lunaris, and for the Minor God, we opt for Soul of Garakan. Ensure not to capture the Drought-Maddened Roa, as its power will grant you immunity to blind, negating the benefits of Second Sight. If you have already captured it, you can capture it again using a Divine Vessel to deselect the power. We're thrilled with how this build turned out. It's been a significant project for us. After a month of learning, testing, and refining, we've created something we're truly proud of. If you'd like to see more unique builds like this, please consider subscribing and following us on Twitch. Your support means a lot to us. Thanks for watching.